Hi, I'm Jessica Brown, Mrs. Colorado Universal 2021. Welcome to another episode of Powerhouse Paper Dolls, looking below the surface to find out who inspire the women who inspire us. Joining me today are two of the ladies from Trans Guru. Please welcome Ella and Bonnie. Thank you both so much for being with me today.
Hi.
Hi, Ella, we're going to start with you.
Okay.
Can you tell me a little bit about what Trans Guru is?
Okay. Well, Trans Guru is a page. So we have our meetings. We live in Florida. We have our regular meetings, and we have some friends, and we are very inspirational in our meetings. And we decided to send this inspiration, this positive energy outside of Florida and into the world. So we started at the end of last year in a very, very, very kind of amateurish way. Our Trans Gurus, and it has been growing like hell. We started our page in Facebook too, and YouTube. And right now we have, I don't know, something like 12,500 followers. I know that apparently we reached 2 million people in the last 28 days. And our readership is, let's put it this way, it's global. We've got people from United States, from Mexico, Canada, from Egypt, Australia, England, everywhere in the world, which is sometimes a little bit of an issue because of language barriers, but it's quite interesting. We are trying to promote and help transgender people. We've been doing that very actively. If I give you an example, there was one person in Egypt, which she's transgender, and she was a little bit lost because she didn't know anybody. So we organized that she meets other transgender people locally to her. We've got almost every day we are bombarded with people which want to become transgender, or they are transgender and want to know what to do. And so we organize them, to visit their local support groups, to help them. It is very difficult because the last one was from Norwich, and I asked him, Norwich, USA or Norwich, UK? So she said, oh, Norwich, UK. Okay, thank you. Okay. But we found something for her, and she's on the right path now. Very often our readership is actually very young. We've got from, let's say from 17 to about 34 years old is the biggest part. Mostly female or transgender female people. And it's global. It's really global.
That's wonderful. I didn't realize how big your reach was. So Bonnie, have you been involved with Trans Guru from the beginning?
She's from the first day.
From the first day, awesome. So did you both do it together, or Bonnie, did you launch this?
We all launched it. We all had a barbecue out in the backyard. We were sitting around talking, and we said, how can we give back to the transgender community? And that night, Trans Gurus was born.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Trans Gurus. Yeah.
So how many of you are there in this original launching group?
Well, there's 5 on the board, and then there's behind the camera 2 more people. So there's a total of 7, and everybody's trans. So
that's great.
Our producer's trans, and our camera person's trans, and the people on the board are trans. And there's only one.
Do you film a lot of content for online?
Well, we probably have over 50 videos now.
Oh, that's great.
On all kinds of subjects. And just so you understand, we're not about giving advice. We're about sharing our stories and our journeys. And all 5 people on the board come from different places. So when you listen to a video, you're going to hear 5 people talking about 5 different ways of maybe looking at one situation. Listen, a trans man might relate with Christian, and like Shannon's a bodybuilder, and some people might relate there. I personally, I had my SRS surgery back in 1984. So, and Raji was back in the day and transitioned early. So you have her journey it was similar but totally different.
Hmm.
And then there's Ella's journey, and then there's, so it's, you get such a diverse thing, and people that transitioned early in life, late in life, and the things that we had to overcome in our journey. And that's basically what people get is we don't, and we don't sit here and discuss topics while you say that, no, we just all get out there and have lit it, and whatever comes out, comes out. And we just try to keep it as real as we possibly can, because that's what we're talking about, is real life. And if somebody can relate to a real life experience that we went through and maybe help them get through a hurdle because they saw how we did it. And you got to remember, you got 5 different ways of looking at every situation. So I think that that's our secret to success, is that somebody can find a little bit of anything out of all of us.
Someone to relate to.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I think our culture, as many cultures, really hinge on storytelling. That is how we connect to one another, and that's why I created this series. Being a title holder in the middle of a pandemic, there's not as much I can do in my community, so I wanted to do something for it. So the purpose of this is storytelling of women from all walks of life, so that we just feel connected to one another. And I read a study years ago. They hypothesized that more androgynous people had more social security. They felt more comfortable because they could kind of blend into different groups. But what they found when they did, case studies, was that it wasn't so much being feminine, masculine, androgynous. The key to happiness was being surrounded by people who were similar, by people who understood. So this community that you guys are offering is allowing such a sense of connection, and it seems to me that people are transitioning younger, and the discussion is becoming younger. Have you found that in your?
Absolutely. I think transition, it doesn't have an age. You can transition when you are teenager, or you can transition when you are. I'm so sorry. Or you can transition when you are, 60, 70. We even know someone which transitioned at the age of 80 something, So
Well,
it
also,
sounds like there's a lot of people who are really trying to catch it before puberty sets in.
The difference with today, as opposed to when I was growing up, when I was like 6.5 years old, they sent my mother to a psychiatrist because they said she was raising me as a girl. So my mother had to live with all that guilt. It was all her fault that I was this way. But today, if a child's that way, they're not going to look at the parent and blame the parent. They're going to try to help the child. So I never got any help because it was all my mother's fault, and she had to go through life being blamed because of the way I was. And that's what's different, is people are getting more and more educated, and that's what we're trying to do. And we're trans gurus. We try to help spouses, trans people that are trying to transition or going through things, bosses maybe that have transgender people, friends that maybe have transgender that don't understand it. So we try to come at it from all different angles. It's just not the transgender person, but it's anybody that's in the circle that's around a transgender person, to help them to understand more what we're trying to do.
Wow, those are elements that didn't even occur to me. That's incredible that you reach out to the community around the people that you're helping. So Trans Guru on Facebook. Is there also a YouTube channel? How can people find you?
Just Trans Gurus. You can put youtube.com, and then with the C, and then afterwards Trans Gurus in one word, and that you find it directly.
So this series is really about figuring out who inspires the women who inspire us, and you are both very inspiring women. So I'd like to know who has had influence over your personal journeys. Who's inspired you? Bonnie, let's start with you.
Well,
on the spot.
Put it like this. I was young when I did it back in actually 79 is when I started my transition. But Renee Richards was probably the biggest. I mean, Jorgensen was there, but it was more about Renee Richards that was out there that for me was inspiration. If she could do it and go up there and do all that. But I have to be honest, I didn't really have a choice. I couldn't go on like I was. So as far as inspiration, did one person give me the inspiration? No. It was more like I just couldn't live that way anymore, and I had to make a change. So regardless of who or what anybody was doing around me, I was
Yeah.
not going to live
You had
that
to live
other
authentically.
life anymore.
Yeah, I so fully understand that. And Ella, how about you?
Well, actually, very similar. We are more or less the same age, and I know that I was a transgender at the age of 5. Okay, so it was very early. But I only found out that there were other people like me when I was about 17, 18. Until then, I always wanted to wear my girly clothes and everything. My mother was not be very happy with that, but I mean, I suffered quite a lot. But
Well, I'd imagine at 12 years thinking that you were the only one like that. That
Yeah,
had to be very
correct.
difficult.
Yeah, but then I found out, well, there's other people like that too. At those times in the 60s, there was no internet. There was,
Yeah.
and they didn't talk about transgender people on the radio. And
Yeah,
I think I learned about Renee Riches when there was an article about her. I think it was in Playboy, believe it or not. And then it was, oh my God, I'm not alone. There is other people. Absolutely fantastic. So she made quite a lot of things for me. And now I know, and some of the people which actually, throughout the ages, they've become actually, some of them I've got contact with with those idols which I used to have for many years. And and then of course, when I transitioned, or let's say after my transitioning, what gave us quite a lot of support, although she's very not liked by many transgender people, was Caitlyn Jenner. I mean, I like Jazz Jennings. Of course, she's something very interesting, but she's much younger than we are. So there was this age relationship that
Sure.
I didn't have with her.
But seeing
although
Bruce
she's
Jenner
local, I
for
know
all
her
of our lives, and then
And I know-
public transitioning.
Yeah, although she's local, and I know her personally, actually.
You know Jazz personally?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, I didn't know that. How neat.
She lives about 10 miles away from my house.
Oh, very cool. Have you had her on your show?
No.
Oh.
No, she's another. probably. Actually, I think that we've got more followers than her Facebook page. So probably. Yeah.
No, there's some pages, offsprings of her, but her page, I think it's a couple 100,000 now. Her own personal page.
Well, she had a TV show, so that makes a difference.
Yeah, correct.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Sure.
And she's
There's
kind of
about
shy.
10. There's about 10 of her pages that are out there, but I'm sure they're not all her. It's just other people that did.
And
pages.
she's kind of shy, So, but
Yeah. Well, I belong to the Spoonie community with chronic pain. And when I first started dealing with this life-altering experience, it was very isolating, primarily because the people around me really didn't understand, no matter how much they wanted to. And the difference it made in my life to find communities of people who were experiencing life in the way that I was, it was a real lifeline. At a time that I really needed it. And I believe that you guys are offering that lifeline to many people. But this interview is called Paper Dolls because I link each interview to the women before and after. And you are actually coming after a very young little role model in our community. But I love that you both want your legacy in life and you want to be known for helping people. And that's what really fuels you and drives you. So I'd like to know what do you want your legacy to be? How do you want to leave a mark on this world?
That's a very interesting question. Well, many years ago, some years ago, I was very unhappy because I was still living in my dead self. I didn't have, I was really depressed. And I was with a friend in Norway and we were sailing and kind of told me, you know what, one day you are a business person. One day you should do something which is a business plan, but not for a business, for yourself. And then I sat down and actually did it. It took a long time to do it. But one of the big things that I did was put on the question, when I die, how should people know me? And the first answer for that was, well, I want to be known as a woman, what I really am. And that was the beginning of my transition. Since my transition, actually, I wrote 3 books. So I've got quite a lot of let's put it this way, storytelling already. I'm sorry, but apparently there's something wrong with my light. No, but I wrote 3 books. You can find them in Amazon if you want to buy them.
What are the titles?
One is called Coming Home to Venus, which is a book I wrote this year, which is about my transition. The first book I did was about 3 years ago, which was I Was Born a Boy from Venus. As well, it's a little bit of my autobiography, and why was I a transition? It goes from my birth until my transitioning time, more or less, okay? And my third book, and it's a story of a boy which always wanted to be a girl, and he had, I don't know many clothes that you always throw away and then buy a new one. And it's an interesting story because I'm a very international person, so I've been all over the world. And my third book is called Eva's World. Eva's World is a fictional novel, and it's the story about a transgender woman which is pansexual, and it's about her loves and her work. As well, a very international story. So it's in Europe, it's America, it's all over the world. So
Congratulations, that's very impressive.
A little bit like me. I hope I applied now for Lambda Writers Prize Award. So I hope that probably I'll get somewhere. You never know. So yeah, but my legacy is, my internationality. I'm a businesswoman too, so I'm always a little bit on the move, and that's my legacy. That's what I want to leave. But I want to leave a legacy as well that being trans is right, that you should not. I've been hiding all my life, and I don't want to. I think other people should learn from my miseries.
And I believe that was what you would have changed about your story if you could have, was to transition younger. Is that correct?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I also, Bonnie, I want to know your legacy as well, but I did want to address what stuck out to me, Ella, from your questionnaire. Your ideal superpower was femininity.
Yeah.
And that really touched my heart. I have someone very close to me who didn't get to transition as young as she would have liked. And so her body changed. And so I felt that answer. And you also messaged or mentioned passing. And that is a topic that I hear a lot in trans communities. Is there a lot of fear these days around passing?
Well, sure. I mean, you have to understand everybody which wants to be integrated in somehow in this world as a transgender person, usually, and I say it's not for everybody, but usually they like to pass and they don't want to, we don't like to be questioned every 5 minutes, what are you, what's going on with you, and so on, For me, it's even more than that because I travel a lot. For my business, I travel all the world. I've been to India, I've been to South America, and I always do that as a woman. So, you just don't want to have problems and issues.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't usually go to Arab countries. I try to get out of them because it's a little bit too dangerous for but if I have to go to Dubai or something like that, I probably would go now because I think I pass enough. And it's not only the passing, it's the papers, it's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Even my birth certificate is already right.
You've changed your birth certificate?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything.
That's good.
In three, I've got papers in 3 countries, and I've done everything everywhere because I have 3 nationalities.
Oh,
So
really? What nationalities do you have?
Portuguese, Swiss, and American.
Oh, that's very cool. I'm taking my very first trip abroad next month down to Ecuador.
Okay.
And
To
I
Ecuador?
was a mom very young, so this is my first time traveling, and I'm very, very jealous of your world travels. Bonnie, how about you? Well, let me ask you first, what was your ideal superpower?
Giving,
Giving.
listening, helping.
Yeah.
I was very fortunate. I feel the transgender, if it hadn't been for that, I'd have just been a closed-minded redneck.
Mm.
And because of the transgender, it forced me to think outside the box. And the universe has been really, really good to me. And so I really put a lot of time and effort into giving back. I did concerts for 7 years, and I raised over 175,000 for charity. And I've done other stuff, and I help a lot, mentoring a lot of younger people to try to be better. And that's just, it's got nothing to do with making money. It's just got to do that if you can make a person's life better, they're going to remember you throughout their lifetime as opposed to moments.
Yeah. My husband actually got me because he posted that when he was young, he wanted to make $1 million. And then as he grew older, he wanted to touch 1 million lives. And that's
nice.
where we both come from, that we want our mark to be how we have influenced and helped others. So Bonnie, what mark do you want to leave? What is your legacy?
Basically, just that I've helped a lot of people out, and I've made differences in people's lives. And it wasn't about me, and I have zero ego. And if I can make a difference, then it's a successful day. And if my world does not revolve around me, I. My world revolves around me being centered, meditating, being focused, and coming from a good place. But when I'm with people and I'm around people and they're having problems, I'm able to actually sometimes help them to see different ways, because I'm a real big believer in perspective. And if you change your perspective on how you're looking at a situation, the situation will be different. And if I'm able to touch enough people and help them to learn tools on how to deal with stuff. You remember when I transitioned, it was a different world. I mean, people beat people up, and I'm not going to say it, but I boxed for 7 years, and thank God, because that's the only reason I'm alive, because I had a lot of problems when I was younger. So I'm left with a lot of baggage that people like Ella never really had to go through that, but I went through that.
What was that term you used? You what for 7 years?
I boxed for 7 years in the ring.
Oh, you boxed?
Yes, in Fifth Street Gym. Muhammad Ali, I knew him very well. I knew a lot of the big boxing. Anyway, but my point is, life is different. Things are better now. I'm happy for that. And a lot of times through my examples, I help people. Like somebody says, oh, insurances don't do this and this. And they get all, well, when my time, I couldn't even get a job. And it's all perspective.
Right.
So I couldn't get a job. I had to go start my own business. If I hadn't started my own business, I would have never financially reached the success level that I did. So I could sit there and say, society's messed up because I couldn't get a job. But looking back, I'm thankful that that happened. Otherwise, I could have never done what I did. And I take my examples and I try to help people in today's times. There was no insurance for any of my surgeries. There was no insurance for electrolysis. There was no insurance. In 1990, I had a doctor because I moved and I had to change for my hormones. And the doctor, when he found out I was trans, I was much lighter and younger and whatever, but he threw me out of his office. 1991. I mean, literally says, get the F out of my office.
Oh my goodness.
They didn't even want to give me my money back where I paid. Get out of here. Then I went to another doctor in 1991, and they did the same thing to me. So I went without hormones for 20 years.
Oh my
But
goodness.
my point is that life is different, and when sometimes I share my journey, and they can understand that it's not that bad.
Yeah.
You know,
Offering that
it's
perspective.
really not that bad. And just by conveying things like that and helping people to see a situation differently, yeah, that's the thing I'd like to be known for, that I was able to do that for somebody, to make somebody's life better.
Yeah. Well, there's so many people within my circle that whose safety I fear for in the current climate. And while there's so much improvement over the past decades, the trans community is still our most vulnerable. And my husband and I, while we've been involved in, you know, all the civil rights movements, and our concern has been that while, you know, there's support for Black Lives Matter, there's not the support that there needs to be for the Black trans, the most vulnerable of the vulnerable. And so as much as has changed, I feel such a responsibility with my age and my position in society to keep pushing for what still needs to be done. That, you know, everybody needs to feel safe. Everybody needs to be protected and valued and feel as equal as we all are. And to hear how in just a short time, I mean, 91 is not that long ago. I remember 91. That's not that long ago for a doctor. I mean, somebody who swore an oath to have treated you that way. So to come that far in this amount of time, hopefully this amount of time from now, that amount of progress will have doubled. And I really appreciate you both sharing your stories. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. This is Trans Guru. They are on Facebook and on YouTube. If you are transitioning, if someone in your life is transitioning, please get the support that you need. There are so many loving individuals out here who support you and love you and care for you and want you to be safe. If you don't have that support in your immediate circle, that's one of the best things about the internet that it can give us. So please do reach out to me or to these wonderful women. Thank you again both for joining me today.
Can I just add one thing?
Of course.
On Trans Gurus, we put up questions almost every day or a few a week. And like, as an example, where's the best place in the country to transition? We had over 200 people give their opinion. We have, I mean, everything from electrolysis to hormones to, and with our shows, we ask people to write in and let us know what topics they want. But the questions, for somebody that has a question, I don't know how many of them we have, but we have about 20 more questions coming out, one a day, some 8 in the morning, some at 6 at night. But what I'm saying is there's a lot of knowledge that we're also sharing with people that do have questions that they don't have anybody that they can ask, that they can go through and see that. And eventually, when we do get a website, then we'll have a place for all the questions that we've had, that everybody can just go right there and see if they find things that they relate. But that's another thing that we do. Anyway.
Do you have somebody building your website already?
No.
All right.
Right
So
now,
are you looking for somebody to donate a website to you guys?
Oh, that would be really nice.
All right. You heard it here, folks. If you design websites, this amazing organization who is helping so many people is in need of a website. So message them, message me, and I'll connect you. But let's get them a website within 24 hours of this airing. Let's get this done.
Wow.
Thank you.
I will put a post out as well. When I take a little screenshot. Because this is something that I think a lot of people would support. I know there are a lot of trendivists out there that like to support the cause of the moment, but I believe in my heart that there are a lot of people who genuinely care about what you're doing and want to support it. So let's connect you with those people. Ella, did you have anything else you wanted to add today?
Yeah, just thank you very much for inviting us, and it's great to support. Let's support each other anyway. So
absolutely. Thank you. I'm Jessica Brown, Mrs. Colorado Universal 2021.
Thank you.
For you, but without the question, you would have never got that way of looking at it. Once again, perspective. If you see a different way of looking at a situation, the situation is different. So that's what we try to do, is expand people's horizons on how to feel about stuff.
Yeah. Well, and like you said, that there's no ego in it. It's not
No ego.
getting on there telling people this is the way to do it. It's offering different walks of life, different situations. And like you said, if someone doesn't identify with one of you, there's such a diversity.
There's 4 more to go.
There's 4 more. Yeah. Well, plus the 200 responses. I mean, there's just this wealth of information.
We have some of our posts are so crazy. Unfortunately, we had lately one post which had lots of transphobic people inside, but we had 2,700 comments. Can you imagine?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was very
that's
difficult.
encouraging.
We took the post down today. We hit 1,800,000 people, and it was growing like mad. But the problem was that we were hitting too many people outside the transgender community that were saying too many negative things against the transgender community. So we had to kill the post.
So
well, hate always tends to be the loudest voice, and right now there seems to be this fuel in willful ignorance. And your site is the opposite of that. It's the intentionally finding the perspective of others, and that's the compassion over reaction is the foundation of all that I do. That taking advantage of that moment between stimulus and response. And Viktor Frankl talked about how that moment before you choose to respond, that's where your power is. That's where your control is. And so often there's this knee-jerk anger, like I said, the ignorance of it, and the voices like yours that are compassionate and caring and loving, so often get drowned out. And it sounds so great that in that post, even with the hate that was on there, it sounds like the love and light was drowning out the darkness.
Yeah. It was really quite incredible because it was a big fight. It was really a big fight. I don't know why, because all our posts, we have transgender people, cis people, which are, okay with us. And I don't know, it was all of a sudden, all the evangelical community and all the... Yeah.
I just think the post went viral and we hit people outside. You know, we shared we have about 300 transgender sites like that we belong to, and we share things at times with them, and we try to keep everything we do in the transgender community. And if there's somebody that's transgender friendly, we want to interact, but if you're not, we just block you. But
it needs to be a safe space.
Post, that one post definitely went out of the boundaries of what we were trying to do, so we had to kill it.
Well, I've run into that just on my own Facebook page, where there's so much hate out in the world, and there's so much of the awfulness that I want my social media to be a place of support and warmth and compassion. Absolutely. And so a lot of people say that, I'll never unfriend someone over politics. Well, politics isn't really just politics. It's morality. And I will absolutely cut somebody out of my life for a significant difference in morality. And I'm not apologizing for that. I need to be able to create a space for myself where the world doesn't feel crazy. I mean, I lived in Michigan at the last election, and Michigan went red, and I felt like Princess Leia landing on the Death Star. It felt like the whole world around me had gone mad until I started getting involved with protests and protesting the pipelines and the LGBTQ events, and then I felt like I was surrounded by this common voice, and the world seemed less crazy. So that's what you guys, you all provide. Apologize for that word that I use, but you all provide a safe space, and that's needed. It's needed.
Some of our followers are young people, which are very fragile, and they don't need that kind of thing.
No, there's enough of that. There's enough of that.
Unfortunately, there is.
There is, yes. So thank you both again for joining me. This was lovely. I appreciate it so much.
Okay, just send me a link where I can find the video so that we can put it as well in Transgurus, okay?
Absolutely. I'll get your the publication date, and I'll send that to you right away. Great. Perfect. Thank you both so much.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.